Hey, surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's called No Shave November. I don't know if that's a Midwestern thing or if it's everything, but oh well. Anyway, so don't probably don't get too used to this. This is probably going to be gone by the next time we do a video. But anyways, it's been a little bit since we've done a little bit of an update here. We're coming up now on the it's the 22nd of November today, so we're coming up on here in the U.S. the Thanksgiving holiday. Yeah, I've been kind of slacking off with seeing stuff lately. You know, I've got a ton to catch up on and everything, and I'm hoping to do so maybe over the holiday here with Black Friday and everything. I usually try to go down and see a couple movies during that time and stuff. I remember actually 2015. I remember I saw. Okay, see if I can remember them all. I think it was Brooklyn, Spotlight, Creed. Maybe not in this order. I think it was Brooklyn first. I remember that, and then I think I got to Creed. Then I got to Spotlight, and then the last one was Trumbo. I think something like that. And that was all on Black Friday. So usually I do have, that's when some of those, sometimes Oscar favorites tend to be, widely seen and everything. Anyway, so since last time we've seen AFI Fest happen, so we saw a few films premiere or screen there. We've gotten, kind of some news about a couple of films, new trailers that we're going to talk about a little bit, maybe not do the play-by-play or anything, and yeah, so that should really be enough today. Not too much as far as updates yet, as far as the Oscar categories or anything. I'll talk a little bit about the top 8 categories one more time, then I think I'll do a separate video here probably as we get into the holidays there, or I'll try to plan around it to do it sometime here soon. But probably 1st of November around there, I'll try to do a video where we get into the tech categories, because basically we have the vagueness like we talked about with like Dune, where it's like literally there's like almost one or maybe two categories where that's not going to hit, and the one that we know it's probably not going to hit is original song, but everything else is probably. If not fair game, it's almost a certainty that it's going to get nominated, Yeah, we can get into those another time here. Really, this will probably be the last time that we just keep it at the top 8 categories, unless we want to just specifically go more into those if there's big changes and stuff. And really, yeah, there hasn't been way too much since the last time we talked here. I think just one change in lead actor. I'm looking at actually making one quick change in screenplay as well. But I was trying to think like which move I want to make, but I don't know. I'll keep it where it's at. But yeah, so we'll get into that here in a minute. But anyways, I guess we'll start with AFI Fest, which I just have the general list of films here. I don't have them in like the order they showed or anything like that. But we've seen a couple of films come out there that did all right. Like the first one here is that we'll talk about is Bruised, which we talked a little bit about last year because it showed as a kind of unfinished project at TIFF last year, and I believe it is due to be out on Netflix here this week. I think the date I'm seeing here is the 24th, which is Wednesday. And the reviews are about 66%. I've read a couple of them that said, yeah, it's really the reason to see it is Halle Berry's performance. She does good work behind the camera as well, but the story is nothing we haven't seen before. Just all the basics of boxing and everything there. They said it's nothing you wouldn't see in everything from the Rocky movies to $1 Million Baby, especially. That was one that a lot of people said, it really pales in comparison to that one, of course. But yeah, and it's kind of tough. That was such a good movie. It's kind of hard to follow that up and try to do something totally unique. When this is almost in the exact same. Not just genre, but also the same viewpoint and the same, basically the only thing really different between those besides the race of the main character is, the fact you got a woman behind in the director's chair behind the camera. So it's really outside of those elements, there's really not much you can do to improve on that or, totally mix it up, But then again, you never know. So I'll try to see that one as I can. But I think I've got a few more that I'm keeping a little bit higher on the list there for what to see first, before I get caught up with that one. Since it really doesn't seem to be a huge player yet. Again, probably the biggest contention it's going to have is lead actress, and even then, I don't know. That doesn't really seem like one that's going to happen right away. But we might talk about a few other contenders there. Let's see. Next, we'll go into this one had already screened and everything. King Richard, which is actually open now and didn't do so hot its opening weekend, which I don't know. I was hoping it would do good numbers and everything. This is one I've got to see. But it's not surprising given that it's almost 2.5 hours, which every goddamn movie this year is for some reason. Even Bruised, I looked at it's like almost 2.25 hours, which I think Power of the Dog was about that. The pizza, not Mystic Pizza, that's a totally different one. Licorice Pizza is 2.25 hours. Almost everything else is going to be like 2.5 hours, which is like, oof. I know I complained about that last time, but anyways. That one's still holding out about 90, I think 92 was the last I saw on the good old Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter thing. Yeah, it was around that, 92%. I've got it at 92 right now. So it's still, really good reviews and everything, and hopefully the word of mouth is really strong on it, and it does maybe even better than it did this opening weekend. With the holiday weekend, but since it is on HBO Max and it's such a long movie, audiences might be a little more comfortable staying home, especially with kind of a recent tick in COVID numbers and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of the dramas we always knew were going to be like the last, and dramas as far as like wide release dramas. The indie dramas like Come On did very well in its limited run this weekend. French Dispatch has been doing pretty well in its limited markets and everything. So the kind of bigger screen, bigger dramas that do open 3,000 screens or more, or even 2,000 screens or more, we knew that those were generally going to be like some of the last films to really make a huge comeback at the box office. So maybe I was overestimating the haul there a little bit last time when we talked about it, but yeah. Okay, another one that screened at AFI was Parallel Mothers, which remains at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and was not entered in as Spain's contender. So we know it's not going to be able to score there in international feature. Penelope Cruz, I would still say, has a strong shot at Best Actress. Definitely look out for Maldivar to strike again in Director. That is still something that's on the table, I believe. Screenplay, I believe, will still be on the table. Probably capping it at that. This is totally one like another round last year. I can see getting the director nom, but staying clear out of picture. Maybe not clear out of picture. Maybe it would be like 12th or 13th or something. But yeah. Okay, Power of the Dog also screened at AFI, and that one I believe is out on Netflix now, or it will be out on Netflix this week here. And that one's staying strong at 95. Oh, no, sorry, December 1st. We got another week to go. That one's holding strong at 95%. Yep, and that's the only one I've seen, really, besides like Dune and a couple of the other ones that were out early. But, generally that one's staying in there pretty strong. Let's see, what else here? Going down the list. Sing 2? I guess we can talk. I haven't seen even the reviews for that one. I don't know if they liked it or not. Or let's see here. It says 4 reviews, so it's not quite. It would be roughly 50%. So, somebody gave it a D. Oof, IndieWire. Yeah, they didn't like it. I think the first one got. I mean, maybe not great reviews, but it got decent reviews as I recall. Let's see, Sundown we talked about a little bit back at, I think it was Venice, and I still don't think that one even has a distributor here for this year. I think that's a different Sundown, isn't it? No, that's it. Yeah, I don't think that one even picked up a distributor from what I remember. 83%, but yeah, that's actually a little better than it was before. Okay, the next one here was Swan Song, which I believe is coming out from Apple. And this one is coming in at about 71%, so it has a few critics on there, but generally positive reviews. And I think this is just out of like 6 or 7 reviews, so it's early in that one. We'll see some more screenings and stuff, I'm sure, be added here in the next few weeks. And I believe it's got a release date from Apple, and it'll be in some limited theaters on December 17th, so that's got a couple weeks to go yet. But yeah, basically, this one, it sounds like, even though critics are kind of split on it, it sounds like you've actually got Mahershala Ali actually possibly contending for his 3rd nomination in 6 years here. Sounds like he's got like a dual role or something, so I remember a lot of, one of the poll quotes I saw from one of them is, you get not one but 2 great performances from him, so I'm like, oh, okay. And you got like quite a few other actors in there. Of course, Glenn Close is in there. I didn't hear much about her, so maybe not much of a contention this year. Naomi Harris, Awkwafina, Adam Beach, so quite a few in there. Yeah, so this one, I don't know if like Best Picture would be a big thing, but definitely off the word of mouth there, I would say Best Actor. That's more in the conversation for sure, I think. And that might be about it, though. That might be about it. Okay, next one here. And this one was one we had known for a while was going to be at AFI Fest. It was among the more anticipated ones. That's Tick, Tick, Boom, which I believe is out now on Netflix and is coming in at 88%. And Andrew Garfield really did get some very, very good reviews here. And it seems like he and possibly like a song or score nomination or maybe something like that. Seems like they're going to be the biggest contenders here, which I guess is no genuine surprise. Again, depending on how the Globes shake out this year, that seems like a more sure bet for Garfield. Best Actor, he can definitely be in there. It's really just going to depend on how widely seen the film is and how much it's viewed as a real Oscar contender and stuff. Which it seems like it's kind of on the pass fail grade on that. It seems like it's passed and everything, especially when you got Lin-Manuel Miranda on it, and generally it just seems like In the Heights is really falling out of steam. So if he really wants to, and they're from 2 separate studios, of course. This is Netflix, and the other one was Warner Brothers. The other one was so. Yeah, if he wants to, campaign a little harder for one, he might go with Tick, Tick, Boom, which even though I guess the reviews, like percentage-wise, are lower than In the Heights, it seems like, In the Heights didn't do so hot at the box office. Afterwards, it even had some criticism about some of its casting and everything. So again, outside of, a couple of almost for sure, normal year Globe nominations, really doesn't seem like that one's going to leave much of an impact on the awards season this year. So I actually would not be shocked if we begin to see the studios, especially Lin-Manuel and everybody, really start to back Tick, Tick, Boom instead of In the Heights. And that one possibly could even get the picture nomination of the Globes over something like In the Heights even at this point. Yeah, so that kind of felt like that was that for AFI Fest. It's like, yeah, there's normally a few contenders that we've already seen that still screen there and stuff, and a couple, 1 or 2 that are interesting to watch as they premiere. Okay, let me go before we get into the Oscar nom updates, which again, there's really like one. Everything else is kind of about where it's been at. Let's see here. I'm going to go to the calendar here, because this is probably going to be the best way to do it, since we're only like a month and not even a half a month left in the calendar year here for what's still to come out. So yeah, I guess we'll start with what's left this year, because almost everything, I believe, except West Side Story and Being the Ricardos has been screened. Nightmare Alley, too. Nightmare Alley has yet to be screened, but we've gotten a few coming attractions. We've seen, obviously, a couple trailers for the other 2, at least for West Side Story. And yeah, Being the Ricardos, I did finally catch up and watch that trailer. Anywho, so, yeah, we'll kind of go down the list of what's left here, and we'll talk about, possible Oscar chances or any news we've had, which almost everything does. So the first one, I haven't talked about this one much, is Encanto, which I think actually might overtake Luca for best picture or best animated film. I mean, rather not best picture. That'd be a hoot, wouldn't it? But I don't know. It just seems like even though Luca's reviews, I believe, were like upper 80s. I'm gonna triple check that here. 91. Okay, it was maybe a little better than I thought it was for review wise and stuff. It seems like this one, I can see it kind of be like Coco, one that kind of comes around, not last minute, and that one wasn't last minute either, but toward the tail end there, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden it kind of picks up the momentum, and it's like, oh, well, it seems like a no-brainer now. That one I can possibly see. We've also, you'll have a couple other contenders there, like, let's see, actually, this one, we do have like a Gold Derby thing here, so I'm going to see what else they have in there. See, some people like Mitchell's versus the Machines for like a non-Disney, non-Pixar, non-big studio film there. Flea is also getting some good buzz. Belle I have in there, which is one, it's kind of, seems like it's kind of up and down a little bit. Vivo and Sing 2 kind of feel like the last couple there. Aside from Raya and the Last Dragon, which, I hate to, I had it in there for a while actually, as soon as they opened this, but I don't know. I was looking at it again. I'm like, well, you got Luca, which seems like a really sure bet. That one has been pretty popular, and Kanto, which I'm sure is going to do very well over the holiday weekend here. Probably looking at that one being your top box office this weekend. And then it's like, do they really need 3 Disney or Pixar or related films in there? And I don't think they will. They couldn't even get. Back a couple of years ago, they couldn't even get Frozen 2 and Toy Story 4 in the same year. So, I don't know. I was looking, I'm like, oof. At first, I thought it was a sure bet. You'd get at least 2 of them, and possibly, that third one seemed like, yeah, that'll happen. But I'm shaking my head the more I think about it. All right. Next up, House of Gucci. We're going to talk about a little bit here. I haven't seen it or anything, but it's definitely one that, actually not too long after my last video there, they started to do a couple screenings. And the basic word of mouth on it is that this is not going to be one that's going to get like a 90% or higher on Rotten Tomatoes, it doesn't seem. It felt like they said it's a movie that the critics will probably be very split on. The actors will probably enjoy it, especially for Lady Gaga and Jared Leto. Possibly, so like SAGs would probably be an ideal place for it to hit. Possibly a couple things here and there as far as like costume design, makeup and hairstyling, some of those categories that seem a little more obvious, but it is probably not going to be a likely bet for like director, for picture, for screenplay, lead actor for Adam Driver. Even it seems like not a lot of people were talking about him in the movie. So, generally not a great sign either that we're at Monday this week and it comes out Wednesday and there's no reviews yet. At least none posted that I've seen on Rotten Tomatoes or anything. So not a great sign at all that on that. That's not to say it's going to be a total washout, I think, by critics or anything. I get the sense that it'll be, like 55, maybe 45 at the least. I really don't think it'd be that low. But it seems like the early buzz on the film is, it's Lady Gaga comes back and actually has a really good sophomore effort as a lead actress in a film. Jared Leto kind of steals the show with the makeup and everything and the everything there. So I still say he's the most likely of the of any of the acting nominee possibilities. Pacino got some really good notices too, though. I'll note him, but it didn't really seem like there was anybody way too high on it for like best picture, director, or screenplay. Some of those more top tier categories. Plus, this one is 2 hours 37 minutes, and I'm like, fuck my life. There's so many goddamn movies that are that long. Oh, shit. So, I was even looking through. I was like, okay, so we just had No Time to Die, which was at almost 2:45. Dune, which was over 2.5. Internals, which I still have not seen. That one's over 2.5. Was there another one earlier that I missed that was super long? Well, I didn't see it, but Last Duel was also like a super long one. Then you got House of Gucci, which is just as long or maybe a little longer than Eternals. Then coming up, you've got Licorice Pizza, which is 2:15 or about that. West Side Story, which we've early on I've heard that one's over 2.5, but the original was about that long, so that's not too surprising. Don't Look Up, which is supposedly right around 2.5. And then Nightmare Alley, I saw one source that said that one is 2.5. But now I'm seeing one source here that says it's closer to 220, which take the 10 minutes. Take the 10 minutes away. I don't care. And then this one, I'm probably not going to see it, but the Matrix movie is also coming in really close to 2.5 hours. But that's not surprising. Those movies are they're all 2.25 or longer. So, anyways. So, so I'll probably still see House of Gucci as well. I'll put it on the list. I've got like 8 movies on there that I've yet to see. But yeah, that one, just as far as everything goes there for box office, I don't know how it's going to do. I mean, it seems like the marketing is there. It's got enough, big name actors where it can draw in some people. But again, it's like these dramas are really not hitting at the box office hard. This one will be interesting, though, because unlike King Richard, this one will be exclusively in theaters. So we'll see if maybe it does a little better than that. Plus, it's got the pastiche of having the Thanksgiving holiday, other than the Encanto and the Resident Evil movie, which I didn't know about until, a couple weeks ago or whatever. Even that one, I think the buzz is kind of small on, so it might actually fare a little better there. But and we'll see how it does against the holdover of Ghostbusters as well and all that. Okay, so speaking of Licorice Pizza, that one, it seems like the original source that I talked about for a minute there, I don't know. They maybe had a couple points, but yeah, again, this one was not too long after we did our last video. They started to have a couple screenings here, and they've actually opened it up to critic reviews, which I was a little surprised by a little bit. So I think usually PTA kind of waits a little bit closer to last minute before the reviews start coming out, but not much to complain about here, 94%. So critics are really, really digging this one. I've seen a lot of reviews that cite this as PTA's funniest film yet. Definitely a lot of people saying that the acting highlights, though, are maybe not so much Bradley Cooper, but more with Lena Heim and Cooper Hoffman. Really, those two are the ones they said that absolutely steal the show. And it seems like, there's maybe a crazier scene toward the end with Cooper, kind of an extended sequence that everybody says is really fun. That said that just kind of looking at that, I'm like, I can kind of see how's maybe if there's like a memorable, like really memorable something with his character, I can definitely see him still getting a nomination for it and everything for something like that. I'm trying to think if there's even an apt comparison here, but no. I was going to say something like maybe like, remember, Tom Cruise got in for Magnolia, and he was kind of, but he was kind of throughout the movie, though. It wasn't like Bradley Cooper, who supposedly, I've heard, does not really show up until closer to the second half or even halfway through. So, that's a little different than that, but anyhow. But generally, the critics are really digging it. Most, PTA is not for everybody. So there were a couple critics that were like, not for me. But that's more or less to be expected with him. So I don't know if that necessarily again means I'm putting him back in for director. Not quite yet. I'm still holding out on either Asghar Farhadi or Maldivar or Hand of God director. The name will come to me here in a minute. Anyways, Sorrentino, Paulo Sorrentino. Something like that, Or even, I've seen a couple people actually citing, I can find the director's name here and possibly try to pronounce it, Julia Ducournau for Titane, which was our, I believe, was that our Palme d'Or? God, I'm confusing that. That wasn't, no, I was going to say at first I was going to say Venice, but I'm like, no, this was further back. So it had to be our Palme d'Or winner. So, that's one that kind of fits the bill. I mean, that one I think did all right at the box office for its limited run, too. So I wouldn't actually be way too shocked if that one is maybe the one that we'll look at there. But, I'm still holding out that one of them is going to get in over PTA, Joel Cohen, Ronaldo Marcus Green, or possibly even, I don't know. I've got Denis Villeneuve in fourth, but I don't know. I don't see Kenneth Branagh missing really at this point. Belfast seems to be, doing really well. So, and again, that one is also, kind of a drama at the box office and everything. Also is not doing supremely well in its run, but Yeah, that one. Yeah, well, we can maybe talk about that one a little bit for that stuff. Again, that's another one I have to see. But yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it seems like Licorice Pizza. Maybe not so much again in the director category for me right now. He could still very easily get in, I think. I've got Cooper in there still for supporting actor, and I still think probably, unless he really, really wows us in Nightmare Alley, I think this will probably be his best bet this year. But I could be wrong about that. We've got some time to figure that stuff out. Let's see. Otherwise, screenplay seems like it's going to be a sure bet. Possibly editing, I've heard. What was the other? It is period piece, so costume design is not totally out of it. Production design is not totally out of it. It seems like those are the more key places there. All right, so then West Side Story, like we said, that's probably the only one, not that I know of. I don't believe it has screened yet, but I believe it's, since they had almost everything ready to go on it last year, it seems like they really didn't have way too much to add here. So just kind of holding that one and, everything here. Let's see. It's going to... Supposedly I've read here... Let's see here. Supposedly, actually, last week there was a screening for the cast. Cast and crew. So it's definitely done. And then supposedly early next week, as early as next Monday, is when industry and film critics will start getting some screenings in there. So possibly even a few leaks as far as some word of mouth on it possibly could come out later this week as well if a couple other people see it. Anyhow. And then it's supposed to have its world premiere on December the 7th, which will be a week. Oh, no, not even a week before it comes out in a wide release. So, so we'll see if that one can be possibly another winner for Spielberg. But right now, again, I think I've got it like at Best Picture, kind of falling down the list, honestly, at this point, just because we haven't heard much about it yet. But of course, that one could all of a sudden come on strong here and could be, up with Dune as one of the more nominated films. Okay, the next one here, I am really not liking what I'm seeing from Don't Look Up. The second trailer did not hit for me at all. Not at all, but did not hit for me. No, I'm even losing enthusiasm for this film. I've pulled it from Best Picture. Yeah, I just didn't. This second trailer just did not do it for me. It just generally seems like it's a one joke movie. Like it's like, okay, you have all these actors show up, in and out or whatever, kind of coming and going and stuff. And it's like, okay, so you have Jennifer Lawrence and DiCaprio. They kind of go around the whole movie. And first they talk to this person. They say there's a giant asteroid coming or whatever, giant comet, whatever, that's coming. It's going to wipe out Earth. And everybody's like, okay, whatever. And then they go to the next group and they say, okay. It's the same thing. And it's like, well, for 2.5 hours, that's all it's going to be? I don't know. Now, it's just a trailer, of course, but... Wow, I really have to say I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the marketing campaign there in that regard. The first trailer was just okay, but it was a very, very small sneak peek there. But, I don't know. I'm going to have to wait to see what the word of mouth and a few of the early critic reviews, all that stuff is, before I start putting this one back into stuff. So I pulled DiCaprio from actor, pulled it from picture, and the one I was talking about was right before we started this was screenplay. I don't know. I'm looking at that list. I'm like, I might do a switch live here, but I'm just looking at that list. I'm like, I am not really sure. Actually, no. I'm going to say that one. Okay. Anyway, so I pulled that one from screenplay now, so I don't have it in for anything. No, but that being said, though, like as soon as the trailer went up, then there was a couple IMDb articles I read. Supposedly, a couple screenings have happened for the film. And both the people that I read were actually maybe not like overly enthusiastic, but they were happy with the movie. They said, "Oh no, DiCaprio's really good. The screenplay is really good. The editing is great. The effects are actually really good." So I just it's actually really funny. The trailer didn't make it out to be that way, but it actually is funny. I'm like, well, I hope so, because that trailer I don't know if I got more than a couple smiles out of it. I really was disappointed in that trailer. Literally all it was just, the there's an asteroid coming, there's a comet coming, and they're just like, whatever, they'll make a joke about it, and it's like, oh, come on. Ugh. Anyways, I'm a little disappointed, but yeah, like I said, that's just the trailer. You never know. But for right now, yeah, I'm like, nope, pulling that. Something else will get the limelight there. All right, then also coming out, and these are all on the 10th, by the way, West Side Story, Don't Look Up, and the last one is Being the Ricardos, which we do have the first trailer for as well. And yeah, it was a really nice first trailer. Sets up everything. You kind of get the reveal of Nicole Kidman, who looks spot on. Javier Bardem looks like he's having fun. You got a good, you got like J.K. Simmons and Clark Gregg and a couple other ones in there in the supporting cast. I don't think Clark Gregg, I don't think I saw him in the trailer, but yeah, Tony Hale's in there too. So yeah, it looks like a generally good cast. Aaron Sorkin, even though he didn't get in for director last year, I liked what he did a lot with Trial of Chicago 7 directorially and stuff. He did a pretty good job with it and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I still say unless it really makes a big play for picture, possibly for actress and everything there, I'm not thinking screenplay yet on this one. I had it originally, but then I'm like, oh yeah, keep remembering Steve Jobs. A Few Good Men, a few of those other ones. He doesn't get in unless it's a really strong contender, or unless it's a really weak year like Molly's Game, where adapted screenplay was kind of a ghost town that year, and something like Logan could get in, which that's not nothing against Logan, but it's just I really didn't think that was a strong screenplay compared to what we usually get in these categories. But anyways, yeah, so that one, not way too much to say about it yet, but yeah, and I'm sure the reviews on it will be just fine. So, yep. Okay, then I guess we can talk about Spider-Man a little bit, because the second trailer came out here last week. I think it looks good, and this is probably the most excited I've been for a big budget movie since maybe like as far as like a superhero or kind of one of these like, I don't know, Black Widow's marketing was pretty good. Yeah, I would say Wonder Woman I was pretty pumped for when that came out last year. Tenet I was pumped for, and that let me down. But let's see. Oh wait, well I don't know. I liked a lot of the stuff I saw though for Quiet Place Part 2 before that one came out, and yeah, that one held up pretty well. So, but yeah, as far as the superhero stuff goes, this is the most anticipated I think I've been for a big superhero movie like this, probably since the last Spider-Man, actually. So, yeah, marketing really hitting on all cylinders. Yeah, they're showing up. Toby, Andrew Garfield, they're showing up 100%. I like though. A lot of fans are like really have been kind of pissed off in the last week, or at least been disappointed, or whatever, because they didn't show up in the trailer. I'm like, guys, they'll be in the movie, trust me. And even if they don't, you're getting a lot of great stuff. You're getting Willem Dafoe back almost 100%. We're definitely getting Alfred Molina back. We're getting all the villains back, and it's gonna be fun to see how they run around and everything. So yeah, it's really, there's really gonna have to be a lot of stuff that goes really wrong with the movie for me to not like it. Plus, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch looks like he's just having a blast, and I think I've liked him more and more as Doctor Strange through the films here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him there, and then it'll be really good to see him come back and do the second movie when you have like Scarlet Witch and possibly Vision, but I don't know, we'll see. Or a version of Vision. If you didn't see WandaVision, sorry. But anyways. Okay. Let's see. Then we'll go to Nightmare Alley, which again, we've seen a few shorter coming attraction kind of deals on TV spots, whatever you want to call them, for TV. At least I have in some of the ball games I've been watching lately. Yeah, I've been doing that more than seeing movies and stuff. Oh, I didn't see this. Desplat is actually no longer doing the score. Oh, Nathan Johnson instead, who has done which ones? Oh, okay, he's got a couple on there I recognize, like mostly Rian Johnson stuff actually. Knives Out, Don John, which is directed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's worked with Rian Johnson a couple times. Looper, Brothers Bloom, Brick, yeah, those are almost all Rian Johnson films. Also, Mr. Corman. Oh, that's a series. Yeah. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What do you know? There you go. Anyways, but yeah, so maybe that one still gets in for score. But originally I was thinking that one big time for score because it was Desplat. But I think that the only one he's doing then that's going to be out, I believe, would be French Dispatch. Another one I still have to see. I believe he did that one, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, unless there's another one here that he did that I went under my radar, but nope, this will be the only one. All right. Okay, so yeah, but that one, yeah, generally it looks good. I mean, we'll see more of the story and stuff, I think, unfold possibly in another trailer. I don't know if they will have another big trailer or if we'll just kind of wait to see the movie. But I don't know if we have any other big news on that one. No, not really. It seems like it's done and everything. We've got an MPAA rating on it and everything, so it's done, but we're just kind of waiting on the first screenings, which I wouldn't be surprised if they're right after we get our first reactions to West Side Story, maybe even later next week. Okay, then Swan Song, which we talked about. Then yeah, really after that, it's just a couple bigger movies opening right before Christmas, like Kingsman, the Kingsman third movie, which I don't know. I feel like I saw the first two. That's enough for me for right now. But I don't know. If this last one comes out and the reviews are actually really, really good on it, everybody says, oh, actually it's a big bounce back, you know. Even then, I wasn't super high on the first one either. The second one I barely gave a passing grade to, so anyways. But yeah, I haven't really seen, other than Ray Fiennes being in it, I always enjoy him. But no, other than that, nothing's really making me that excited for that one. Matrix, which seems like, yeah, it's going to be like visual effects, possibly sound, and maybe in a strange, you know, if the reviews are really good and it does hit, you know, maybe not like the numbers that Force Awakens did, but definitely, you know, kind of feels like it's kind of that level, then maybe editing, but yeah, I don't really see that one being a gigantic player across the board. Sing 2, which we talked about. And then we've got Tragedy of Macbeth, which opens at Christmas. We've gotten the screenings for those. And also a Journal for Jordan, which, let's see, I don't know if we've done, or if they've had any screenings for that one yet. I don't think they've even got reviews on it yet, do they? I don't think it actually showed at one of the festivals or anything. No. Just a couple of trailers out for it, but yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, so a couple of those films giving some updates and kind of shaping a little bit more of our Best Picture crystal ball or whatever. I've still got Belfast out front. I don't know. That feels like a really good placeholder right now until it absolutely like starts falling apart. Like if it just misses everything all of a sudden, which I don't anticipate will happen. Power of the Dog in second place, Nightmare Alley in third, Tragic Macbeth in fourth, King Richard in fifth, Licorice Pizza in sixth, Dune in seventh, eighth is Spencer, another one I still have to see. Ninth place is West Side Story, and bumping Don't Look Up, I'm putting in kind of as a placeholder for now, The Humans. Because I'm looking at it here and I'm like, I don't know, the most likelier bets according to Gold Derby right now are House of Gucci or Coda, and then being the Ricardos. But I'm not so high on those right now. Tick Tick Boom, I think would really benefit from getting a screenplay nomination. Not sure if that's, I think that's in the original category, isn't it? Or no, that would be adapted because it's based on the musical. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'll look at the adapted screenplay here in a second. We'll see if there is anything I possibly could bump in favor of it, but right now I'm not thinking so. Let's see then. A couple others possibly to keep an eye on still are like The Lost Daughter, Parallel Mothers, French Dispatch, Passing, possibly Cyrano if that one comes on strong here late in the season. But yeah, that's kind of it for that. Okay, then for the directing category, we kind of talked about this. I've still got Guillermo out front as still as the placeholder there. Again, I'll kind of wait if the reviews come out on in the first screenings and they're like, it's not really a strong effort from Guillermo, or it's Just doesn't seem like it's going to be, one of his best. Okay, then I might start thinking about, okay, Jane Campion, Kenneth. I'll kind of think about which one I would rather put out front, because they're both really looking at a good candidacy right now for the win. Because Belfast, obviously, as your best picture frontrunner, normally director would go with it. And we've seen that happen 2 years in a row now for picture and director lining up. And then you got Jane Campion, who did a really good job with Power of the Dog, and could be our first back-to-back female director winners. So, there's good points on both sides there. Plus, Kenneth, this is going to be his first nomination for director in over 30 years, assuming he gets in. And yeah, it's definitely, you're going to see some arguments there as well. Let's see, and then Denis Villeneuve, I think, is in fourth place, and I'm still got Asghar Farhadi in there, but again, I'm kind of waiting on the buzz for that one to pick up again. If it absolutely does not pick up and he misses everywhere, including BAFTA, because BAFTA's kind of been that big bellwether, hasn't it? That's where Paul Pawlowski and last year another round. I can never remember his name. That's where they scored. Anyhow, but. Otherwise, PTA is probably the first one I would go to otherwise. Then probably Ronaldo Marcus Green for King Richard. Joel Cohen, I would still say, has an outside shot for Tragedy of Macbeth. Spielberg, I would still throw in there. Pedro Almodovar, definitely would throw in there. Pablo Larraín, I think, still has a shot. Sion Heder for Coda, if that one comes back a little stronger than we're thinking. That's probably good. Okay. So Best Actor, I did mention I dropped Leo, and that's actually in favor of Mahershala Ali. I'm putting him in. I just get a sense there. Plus, he's a super popular actor when it comes to these groups. Almost every time when he has a kind of major contender on either the TV side or the film side, he gets in. So I can see him cracking the list alongside Benedict Cumberbatch, Denzel Washington, and Will Smith right now. It's just that, that fourth and fifth slot are kind of the ones that are questionable right now. So Peter Dinklage I still have in there as well. But I would still say Andrew Garfield has a shot here. Bradley Cooper has a shot. Joaquin Phoenix has a shot. Possibly Adam Driver. Possibly Javier Bardem. And, I think slipping further down the list here, you got like Steven Yeun, Cooper Hoffman possibly. Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be about it. So, even at this stage, it seems like Daniel Craig, No Time to Die, which we talked a little bit about when I reviewed the film. Yeah, it seems like that's not going to happen. Okay, then moving on to Best Actress. Kristen Stewart, I've still got out. Solid first place for Spencer. I have Jessica Chastain in second, but I'm considering flipping a couple people around here, but I'm not really sure who would go in front of her. Third place, Frances McDormand. Fourth place, Olivia Colman. Penelope Cruz in fifth. Yeah, it's kind of the same as I've had it. So I'm leaving out Lady Gaga and Nicole Kidman right now. I've had Nicole I had in earlier on in the season, but I don't know. Jennifer Hudson, especially if she makes SAG, and we'll see about the Globes, but especially if she makes SAG, that would be a strong sign there. And we'll see what BAFTA does with respect as well. Let's see, Tessa Thompson for Passing is one I wouldn't totally pass on. Okay, you're welcome. Halle Berry for Bruised, I would say, still has a shot. Jodie Comer is kind of the last-ditch effort that's clinging to the Oscar glory hopes for The Last Duel right now, other than maybe production design and costume design. Lena Haim, we talked about a little bit. Amelia Jones for Coda, possibly. And, that's probably it for that right now. Supporting actor, real quickly, we can talk about the frontrunners here. Because I think, at least by Gold Derby standards, Will Smith has been out front for quite a while for Best Actor. That I don't see that changing, really. Kristen Stewart, the same for Best Actress. She's been out front for not too long after the trailer came out, actually. The frontrunner, though, for supporting actor has got me really scratching my head. That's Cody Smith-McPhee is out front right now on Gold Derby, which really surprises me because... Again, there's really not way too many big Oscar moments for him. There's not really a bunch for Jesse Plemons either. They're more the two are some of the more subdued of the whole main cast. They're the two most subdued characters. There's one scene where Smith-McPhee does have a little bit of an emotional moment with Benedict Cumberbatch, but it's late in the movie. So some of the people that are seeing the screeners and stuff, if they're kind of, halfway through the movie and they're not enjoying it, they might not get to that scene. Jesse Plemons, almost all his screen time is in the first 2/3, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't like disappear completely, but he's around the whole movie. But not the way like Kirsten Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch. They are, kind of the two that you remember the most, the more histrionic, emotional, big shout, either shouting or kind of scenes like that. So, but yeah, Cody Smith-McPhee really doesn't have that. I'm kind of surprised he's leading the pack right now. And if he does win, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen hardly any of the other contenders yet, really, because like The Humans has not opened yet. House Gucci's not quite out yet. Belfast I still have to catch up with. Licorice Pizza ain't out yet. Being the Ricardos. But it's like, I don't know. I'm just looking at this list. I'm like, is that really the best we're going to get this year? That's kind of a weaker list for supporting actor in recent years. Anyways, I still have Jared Leto, though, just because I think that one's going to be, the more fun role, the more disappearing role. Plus, if he can almost get in last year for the Little Things, I really don't see why he would totally 100% miss for House of Gucci. Especially, again, if the lineup is going to be a little more helter-skelter this year, possibly. But that's nothing against the actors or anything. I'm just looking at the competition and stuff. I'm like, yeah, good reviews. Kind of, that's about it right now. Anyway, so yeah, Bradley Cooper, I'm still hanging on to him in third place. But I'm kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to shift him up or down or not. Probably more down than up. I don't see him surpassing Richard Jenkins right now. And Jenkins, I think, he could still win for this. Definitely what I've got helping is The Humans I've still got in for screenplay. So I think it can be, like Brooklyn, that got screenplay, picture, and an acting nomination. So that's kind of why I've defaulted to that one for Best Picture for the 10th slot right now. But yeah, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, yeah, I can see him, really getting on a hot streak with the critics groups once they start sounding off here in the next couple of weeks, and going from there. Let's see. Otherwise, Jesse Plemons I have in fourth. Cody Smith-McPhee clear down in fifth. But I'm not going to drop either of those two anytime soon. I know Plemmons has kind of really fallen off. He actually led this category early on in the Gold Derby predictions, odds, and stuff. But now he's like in 8th, 9th. Oh God. Yeah, he's 8th place right now. Ahead of him is, who I don't have in, are both Ciarán Hinds and Jamie Dornan for Belfast. I do have Kieran in for, or Ciarán, however you pronounce his name. I have him in for the Globes right now, but I don't know. I might start putting him in, like possibly at SAG and possibly here as well. BAFTA, I would say, again, Belfast I think is going to do the best at BAFTA, so I can see it getting 2 nominations each in the supporting categories there. Possibly even a lead actor bid for the young kid in that one at BAFTA if it really goes over well. And then Jason Isaacs for Mass, who we've been talking on and off through the season, is him as a possibility. Otherwise the rest of the lineup here is kind of like, man, I've heard a couple people talk about it, but that's about it. Kind of deals there. Supporting actress. I'm still holding on to Marlee Matlin right now for Coda. Again, her odds are really falling as well. She's still in the top 5, but it's starting to look like she's going to get passed by somebody else here, according to these odds. Ann Dowd I've also got still in second place here for Mass. Again, it's like Richard Jenkins. It's one that could easily take off if it really starts hitting all the critics' crowds and actually transfers over to the more industry awards. Right now, actually, our leader, though, is Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, which actually would not be too surprising. If that one kind of falls apart, and not so much as far as like actually getting in, but for the real backing for like director and picture, then I can see that one like, okay, we got to give it something. Here's Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, she did really well. Or screenplay, or possibly both. So, that would actually not surprise me. Still haven't heard her name pronounced. Ajon Ellis for King Richard I've got in 4th place. And Katrina Balfe in 5th place for Belfast. Let's see, other contenders here. I don't know, I've been hearing a little bit of rumblings here, and this, I don't know if this is official or not. Cate Blanchett possibly could be more running for supporting actress for Nightmare Alley. Judi Dench is one I had in earlier, but I could see her again getting a BAFTA nomination as well, and possibly even missing everything and then still getting the Oscar nomination. I should clarify, missing everything up to BAFTA, getting the BAFTA nod, and then getting the Oscar nomination. I can see that happening. Ruth Negga for Passing, if that one comes on a little stronger. Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. We'll see how the reviews fare here in the next week or so. I don't know. Otherwise, possibly Jane Howdyshell for The Humans, if that one does do maybe a little better than we're thinking, but that's probably going to be about it. Okay, then in the screenplay categories, Licorice Pizza I still have out front, but I could easily see Belfast surpass it, especially if it does continue on the train for Best Picture. Then you have your screenplay picture lining up. So I have that in a strong second. In third place, I have French Dispatch, which is also starting to fall off on the odds here a little bit. Fourth place is King Richard, and in fifth place, I did have Don't Look Up. I now have Parallel Mothers because, I don't know, that seems like one that can happen. Otherwise, Mass, Being the Ricardos, Come On, Come On, A Hero, Spencer, definitely some ones I would look at as well here in original screenplay. On the adapted side, Power of the Dog I still have out front, and then Tragedy of Macbeth, then Coda, Nightmare Alley, and in fifth place I do have The Humans. A couple other ones here to look out for are The Lost Daughter, House of Gucci, possibly West Side Story or Passing, Dune. I would probably put those ahead of Tick, Tick, Boom. And I believe all those are ahead right now in the odds. Yeah, that kind of seems like that's kind of getting toward the end there for that one. All right. So, generally, yeah, I feel like that's right about where we're at here. Again, next time we'll come back. I'll look over everything. We don't have all the categories yet for the tech categories for Gold Derby yet for the like what you can predict and stuff. Like they're missing. What are they missing again? They're missing score and one or two others there. They've got a few of them in there, but yeah, I'll do the full research and do those if Gold Derby does not by then. And then we'll go into that here, and that'll probably be again first week of December around there somewhere. So, okay. Otherwise, I'll try to do some homework this week, get caught up on stuff before it does start to leave the theater. And actually, well, real quick, the one I did see because a whole bunch of my friends wanted to see it, and I'm like, yeah, I still want to see it. Halloween Kills. What a mess! That's such a mess of a movie. And I kind of historically have gone back, and on the when it comes to these slasher movies and stuff, I kind of almost have to grade them on a separate scale. Like the original, like I think I said this at one point, the original Friday the 13th, I give it like an 8 out of 10, but that's more on the slasher scale. If it was like a regular movie, it'd be closer to like a 6 out of 10, because there are some weaker parts of that movie. Then like the sequels, I would say like parts 2 and 3 definitely are like a 4 out of 10 on an actual scale, but on a slasher scale, they're enjoyable movies. I give them 6 out of 10s. And then you get to like Final Chapter, which is probably closer to a 5 out of 10 in real life, but like more like a 7, closer to an 8 out of 10 on the slasher scale. But anyways, so even on this one, on a slasher kind of scale, I still have to give this a 5. So it's not abysmally awful or anything. It's entertaining. You laugh at it and with it. Sometimes you're laughing at it when you're not supposed to, but I still laughed at it. Probably the hardest I laughed at the movie, there's one part where a character, without giving too much away, even though I think most everybody who's wanted to see it has seen it now, there's a part where a character is trying to shoot Michael Myers with like this magnum, like decent gun or whatever. He like literally like barely taps her, the gun flips around and it blows her freaking head off. I laughed. I laughed my ass off at that part because it was hilarious. But yeah, it's weird because it has scenes like that, but then it's also got scenes where it's almost funny enough before anything happened in 2020 or early 2021. It's got scenes that have allegories and stuff, political ramifications stuff, compared to, say, like some of the looting, rioting, and protesting, sometimes all at once, that happened all through the summer of 2020, and then also stuff like the January 6th stuff, insurrectionist kind of crap that happened at the Capitol as well. So it's like, and this was filmed in like late 2018, early 2019, so I don't know how they nailed it, but they did. Or whenever it was filmed, it was somewhere around there. So that's crazy how they kind of got that. It's like, okay, well, I can see where you're kind of going with that. It doesn't really have a strong stance on anything. It doesn't clearly decry one or the other of those as bad or good. It shows that there's bad elements to everything, which is true in life. But again, it doesn't really have a strong stance on that. There's parts where it's like the dialogue is really literal when it comes to that stuff. There's a part where it's like, he's turned us into the monsters or whatever, and it's like, that's the most obvious line of dialogue I've heard in a while. Anyways, but yeah, and it was fun to see certain characters from the original come back, the original actors as well. Like the original Sheriff Brackett was there, or Lieutenant Brackett, whatever he was. The original nurse from the first movie that almost got killed by Michael toward the beginning, she shows up. One of the original kids is in there. Yeah, it was fun to see them. What they did with their characters was not all that interesting, unfortunately. And it's kind of hard. It's hard to say that that's a bad thing, because it is. They kind of have only the original film to go off of, which is, yeah, it's not like the history, like I've been talking about with my spec script for Friday the 13th. It's like that you have like an actual series of films to go through. So there's certain characters that if they come back up, it's like, oh, we remember this person because they were in it for quite a bit, versus these characters, a lot of them we haven't seen since the original film, or they've barely been mentioned since the original film. So it's they've been kind of an afterthought, or they've been wiped out from the newest continuity or whatever. So, anyhow. So, yeah, otherwise, none of the kills were outstanding or anything. It was mostly just like stabbings and head crushings and neck snapping and all that. Nothing that we haven't seen before. The bloodshed was all over the place. At one point it's like somebody barely gets stabbed and it's just like geysers of blood, like, toward the end of Nightmare on Elm Street. And there's other ones where it's like, oh, that's kind of a hard hit, but there's like a bruise. It's like, okay, that's like the main character powers or whatever, where it's like, okay, if a certain character who who the script needs to live until a later moment, if they, they can take as hard a hit or worse hits than people that barely, get anything and they die. But if this other character gets it worse, somehow they're still alive. It's like, that shit never makes sense to me. And this movie is no exception to that. Otherwise, Jamie Lee Curtis is top billed, but unfortunately has very little screen time. Maybe it is kind of spoilery to say why, but it's like, yeah, she kind of is restricted to one setting for most of the movie. And even in that setting, they don't really do much with her or much with the setting. It's just kind of something that just is there. I don't know. There's kind of a neater moment toward the beginning where they try to do like, okay, we skipped the original Halloween 2, right? From 1981. We skipped that one. That one's now no longer part of the continuity. So instead they set up, here's what would actually, in this newest timeline, this is what actually would have happened as soon as the credits started to roll on the first original Halloween from 78, not the original Halloween from 2018. You see where this is really getting confusing? Yeah, so some of those scenes were kind of neat. They shot them in a way that almost looks like it is kind of like early 80s. Maybe not quite in that style, the grainy film style or whatever, but it's acceptable. They got somebody who either really looks or actually is Donald Pleasance as Loomis for a little bit. I guess that's maybe a minor spoiler, but I mean, he doesn't do anything, really. He's just kind of running around. But that was kind of neat. I was like, oh, hey, it almost looks like they did the digital de-aging or something, or, whatever, like almost like they did with Tarkin in Rogue One. That's kind of neat. What they did with his character, I wasn't really on board with, because it was like, what does that have to do with anything? A lot of the kids in the movies are complete assholes. I like that, because that's usually how it goes down. Realistic there. I'll give them points. For that. But otherwise I didn't really have much else to say. It entertained me while it was on. After it was over, I didn't really think about it much. I'm really straining to think about some of the stuff that happened here in this quick little rundown. I don't know. Otherwise, none of the actors really were that great. Judy Greer gets a little bit to do here and there, but okay. The character, I kind of like her daughter, who would be Laurie Strode's granddaughter from the 2018 Halloween, which is the first Halloween in this series. See how it's confusing? But she really disappears for most of this movie, and she's kind of sporadically in there. and it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in an hour. I forgot you were in this movie, kind of deal. And yeah, and then Anthony Michael Hall's in it as well. A side story, I rewatched actually not too long ago because we were stuck at home. We couldn't find anything good to watch. Edward Scissorhands. I went back and second time I've seen that one in the last couple of years, and I used to love that movie. I mean, I don't know if I have it with me, but I can dig up old photos. I did dressed up as Edward Scissorhands as Halloween once, even. That's how much I love the movie. Back in like 6th, 7th grade, I would watch it, like once a week or whatever. I just loved it. It's not holding up for me in these last couple of viewings. I'm really disappointed in the movie the last couple of times I've seen it. Side note, whatever. But yeah, especially the last time I saw it, I'm like, Anthony Michael Hall, God bless him, he really did not do it for me as the villain in that one. I just kind of laughed more at him than with him as a villain. And even then, he's not a villain you laugh with very often in that. He's kind of more of a bully character or whatever. But anyways, but here, I don't know. I mean, he's got a nice little monologue toward the beginning, which seems a little out of place, and it seems like it's going to be a joke, but it kind of isn't. I don't know. It's like he delivers a performance, like this little monologue thing where he talks about the history of Halloween, what happened 40 years ago or whatever. They keep saying 40 years ago, 40 years ago. It's like, oh my God, they say it like 16 times in the movie. That and Evil Ends Tonight or whatever, or Evil Dies Tonight, whatever it was. Oh my God, it's like those are like the only two lines in the movie that like are repeated more often than say like Michael Myers' name or Laurie Strode's name or something, whatever. Yeah, anyways, but yeah, there's a weird part where he's giving this little monologue where he's talking about everything, and he's doing it like almost like a radio announcer would. Like he's not impersonating like an Orson Welles type or whatever, but it's like, ooh, if it was a spooky time and we're actually trying to scare you, whatever. But it's a serious moment. He does it in a way where it's like there's going to be a big jump behind him, somebody's gonna, because he's on a stage and he's like somebody's gonna jump behind him and scare everybody, and it's an elaborate joke or whatever. Maybe not elaborate, just a joke. It's a setup, a gag or whatever, but it's not, and they don't do anything like that. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's, I don't know. And yeah, he's very one note monotone through the movie with that, and it's like, I don't know. Again, it's strange because it's like, here's this character, Tommy Doyle or whatever, that's who he plays, who's like the little boy from the first one. It's like, we only saw him in the first one, so it doesn't, he goes from, this little boy who's kind of shoved around by some bully kids and scared of everything. All of a sudden, he's like, I don't know what to compare him to in this one. He's like he wields a bat the whole time. He's like trying to lead a posse to hunt down Michael Myers. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. So that's why, in examples like this where it's like, okay, if you're trying to like be so closely tied to the mythology and like bring in every last character you can think of, if you were in the background for one scene, you're in the movie or whatever. It's like, that's why with this, if you're cutting out the whole rest of the mythology, the whole rest of the series, and saying it's now doesn't count, it hurts you. It hurts you. That's why, that's why I'm really going to be disappointed if they do another Friday the 13th and it's just another fucking remake, because I've said many times, the next one, whenever they do it, whenever they get around to it, it's going to be the 13th Friday the 13th movie, as long as you're still counting like Freddy vs. Jason. So this is, yeah, you can't mess this up. Like, this has got to be special. This has got to be, my angle, it's got to be a Force Awakens. It's got to be a great reboot of the series, but doing it without totally starting over. Doing it with, hey, let's bring back your favorite characters. Let's bring back Ginny from Part 2, Tommy from 4 through 6, Trish Jarvis from Part 4. Bring back Tina, if you can, from Part 7. I can't get into too much of my spec script because it kind of ruins it with her part. Bring back, some of these characters, because it's like, even though, they've only showed up in one film each, or a couple of them crossed over to a couple films, whatever, there's still that mythology of the series there that we're going to honor and hold ourselves to a little bit, maybe poke fun at a little bit, because some of them are nonsensical, as this movie, I think, should have done even more. Really is a more serious film. Even the first Halloween in this new series, at times, was able to poke fun at the original movie. Like, there's the part where they're like, oh, it's so serious, the original thing, and somebody's pointed out in the movie, they're like, well, only 3 people died. It's like, that's every day in in America right now, where it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, I guess that's true. Almost every town in America has that many. Big cities have more than that, every day or whatever. But anyways, yeah. So it's like that was also sorely missing from this sequel. There's a couple parts where they're trying to be funny, where they bring in these kind of funny characters or whatever, and it doesn't really work. And yeah, they kind of did the same thing in the first Halloween from 2018 as well, where they would bring in some characters and they'd have one scene just to be silly, and then they'd be killed off by Michael Myers or whatever. I'm remembering the two cops that are talking about like bologna sandwiches or whatever in the cop car, waiting for somebody to show up, or they're guarding the not Myers house, the Laurie Strode's house or whatever out in the country. But it was like, it's just so out of nowhere. It's like, we didn't really have to build up to this, and they do the same thing here a couple times, and I don't know, not my cup of tea. But anyways. So yeah, that one I gave a 5 out of 10. That's the only one I've seen recently. I know, all these other Oscar big contenders, right? And I see that one. Oh well. Like I said, I went with a couple of friends. We had a blast watching it. We were the only ones in the theater, because I think it was Veterans Day, actually. So we were the only ones in the theater, so we could be as loud as we wanted, talk back to the screen if we wanted to, which we did a couple times. But we still had fun. I don't think anybody flat out loved the movie, but we had fun. We had fun. That's about all that counts. All right. So yeah, this one on maybe a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's the norm with me with these videos anyways. But yeah, so we'll be back later on here. Again, we're aiming for first week of December. I'll do my homework, get a couple more films watched for sure, and definitely look into the rest of the tech categories, and we'll have some basic predictions, early predictions for those next time.